Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you guys are in the world. My name is Nadir from Ocean Conservation Namibia, and I'd just like to welcome you all to our fourth YouTube Live event. So today I'm joined by Katja, Denzel, and Antoine. I'm going to just run you through a little bit of what's been going on with us lately. We're speaking to you a little bit. Denzel's going to step in for a few minutes and just go through our tools and equipment that we're using. Tony's going to step in and talk to us about strategies and data collection, and Katja will step in and talk to you all about generally how our funding system works and how we go about that and what's actually happening behind the scenes with that. So, I don't know how many of you have tuned into these lives before, but I just want to run back a little bit and just basically give to you how we basically started this whole thing and how this whole thing came about. So I guess it's safe to say I was sort of born into this. I was born in Etosha National Park, the biggest national park in Namibia. My parents came from conservation backgrounds, and I grew up in a home with in tourism. I went into tourism myself. I've always worked in tourism, and I've always been very close to the nature and to ocean. I've grown up surfing, diving, just hanging out on the Namibian coast and doing a lot of kayaking. About 10 years ago, we started a kayaking company at the seal colony at Pelican Point. And we, about 9 years ago, myself and another kayaker found a seal swimming in the water. He had a big bundle of net hanging off him. And we caught him, pulled him to the beach, cut him free, and we just realized we'd saved this animal's life. And one thing led to another. We started seeing more and more entangled seals, and we basically just made a point of trying to help them wherever we could. It was very opportunistic at best. It did not happen very often because this was not, we didn't realize how big the problem was. One thing we've realized now is that if you're not looking for entangled seals specifically, you will not see them. We can get to a group full of seals. If you're not specifically looking for them, they are so easy to miss. So as this sort of went along, about 6 years ago, my middle child, Nina, our daughter, was diagnosed with a very rare pediatric cancer, rhabdomyosarcoma. And she basically, she had to undergo treatment in Cape Town for 15 months. Katja went to live with her in Cape Town for that time, where she underwent quite a heavy regimen of chemo and radiation. She's doing really well now. She's a pillar of health, strength, light. She's intelligent. She's doing well at school. She's doing awesome now. But it was a really hectic journey going through all of that, and really made us put a lot of things into perspective. We realized that this thing just basically made us change our priorities, our outlook on life. Our mission was to focus less on the rat race, making as much money as possible, retiring early, and rather focus on quality of life, emphasis on family, and just help those who can't help themselves, whether it be human or animals. So Katja and I basically since then have just been on a bit of a mission to do what we can for others wherever possible. So we carried on with these seal rescues, and they got more and more. And about in the beginning of 2020, we registered Ocean Conservation Namibia. We decided this is something we want to pursue on a more permanent basis. And soon after that, Antoine came along. We'd met the year before. We'd done 1 or 2 rescue days, and he just stepped in March last year. Came for a 10-day holiday, which turned into a 6-month stay because of COVID lockdowns. He couldn't leave. And we really got a solid foundation of seal rescues for that. We learned so much in that time, and really this is where OCN fundamentally really started picking up speed. Once Tony left, Denzel, who'd been working with me and helping with a lot of seal rescues before, on the kayak side, stepped in once Tony was gone. And the two of us carried on till the end of the year when Wally and Kat joined the team. Wally is a very old friend of mine. He'd also been kayaking with me and he's one of the first guys to help me doing seal rescues 7-8 years ago. So He's been out of the country for the last 5 years, and he stepped back and straight into the team. And it's been going from strength to strength. Tony joined us back again at the end of March on a full-time basis, and here we are, just going from strength to strength. It's been an amazing journey so far. Just run you through how a basic a rescue day goes about. It's a question that's come up very, very often. So we'll wake up normally about an hour before sunrise. It's key to try and get to the Pelican Point at sunrise. So we'll wake up, have a coffee, pack the car. Tony lives on the premises with us in the flat at the back. The two of us will head out. We'll fetch Denzel, we'll fetch Wally, and we head out to the point trying to get there at dawn. We'll scan the areas, and we've got very adverse weather here. I mean, you've seen we've got this in winter. In the middle of winter, we can have our hottest days of the year, up to 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Get these berg wind conditions where we get these really hot winds coming in from the desert and just obliterating us. But we get nice days in between. So in the middle of the winter, you'll see us wearing t-shirts sometimes, and the following day can be 10 degrees Celsius, and it's really cold. So we have a lot to contend with weather, and this obviously plays a big role with the seals. The warmer it is, the less seals are around on the beaches. It's often very foggy here, which is good for seals to be on the beaches, but can make our visibility very limited. So it's always every day is a different challenge, and we just adapt, improvise, and carry on. Once we've seen a seal, Antoine will go through the strategies involved in catching the seal with you, but the general process is we will log the data afterwards and just carry on until we get to a point where we feel we've caused enough sort of disruption for the day, and we'd rather give them a bit of a break, or the wind's coming up and they move back into the ocean, or they are just ready to. We just feel we've covered the whole colony enough and it's time to head back. Normally this is by about noon latest. We'll get back. We've got a wash bay in the back of the house. Wash up the cars and the equipment. Get everyone over for that. Get back, and then it's still data capturing, uploading videos, and there's still a lot. So it's actually quite a heavy day. By the time it's lunchtime, we've actually put in a good 6 or 7 hours of work already. So that's basically a good general day in the lives of the rescue. In the office, things are going on full speed all the time as well. Katja is the one who's been replying to all your mails, doing a lot of comments. Kat is doing a lot on the commenting side as well and helping out in the videos. And the administrational side is a side nobody really sees, but it's huge. It's something I would not be able to face on my own. And it's something that we just really have to applaud the office team for what they do there. So at the moment we are on 462 seals for the year. I see Linda has just asked that question actually, and it's actually my next point. This means we're on about track the same date last year. We were about 20 behind, so we are a little bit ahead of last year, which is unfortunately not something to celebrate, but it's always, I'd say, bittersweet. It's terrible that there have been so many. It's terrible that there have been so many rescues that have needed to be done, but at the same time, 462 animals would not be alive if we had not been there. So last year the difference was Tony and I were going out almost every single day. This year, but it was only Tony and I. This year we have 4 on the team searching for seals, and we are not going out as often because with 4 people we are causing a little bit more disruption in the groups. So we try and strategically spread it out. We're also doing a lot more trips to Cape Cross this year, which is a big colony in the north. And probably about a quarter of our disentanglement work this year has come from Cape Cross. Last week, we had an absolutely record day out there. I did not go with myself, but between Wally, Antoine, and Denzel, they managed to catch 31 seals in one day, which is absolutely incredible, remarkable. Like And that was within about 3 hours of work. So it just gives you an idea of how bad the plastic situation really is out there. About 2 months ago, Tony and I did a little outreach, a quick trip to Cape Town. There's a seal rescue center out there, and they have a lot of potential for disentanglement work without proper equipment. So we took a net. We arrived there. We managed to catch 2 seals the day we arrived. We got another one later on. We did some training with them and handed over the net. Our big sort of mission this year has been to pay it forward. We are in a position where we've got good funding for nets, and we would like to enable other organizations around the world doing similar work that do not have the resources we have to be able to do the same thing. So it's going to be interesting to see where this progresses in the next years. Might lead to a few foreign trips, but obviously each time we go somewhere else, it's difficult because it's less time we have here. So it's finding a way to balance that all out. Katja and I have recently come back from a quick family trip to Germany. We went up to visit the Seal Rescue Center in Nordeich, Germany, where they are dealing with grey seals. It was the first time I've ever encountered proper or true northern seals. It was an amazing experience. These animals are extremely cute, beautiful animals, and very, very different to our own Cape Fur seals. They're not dealing with entanglements there. They're dealing with very few, only a couple, less than 5 a year. They're dealing with animals that have mainly been displaced, separated from their mothers, young pups that have been separated from their mothers, usually by people interfering, getting too close, and having scaring the mothers off. The pups are left behind, so they just feed them up for about 4 weeks or so and release them back into the wild with a very good success rate. Their pups are so completely different to ours in the sense that our pups will nurse, they'll drink off their moms for an entire year, whereas these pups will only nurse for 1 month. In 1 month, they'll go from 7 to 25 kilograms. And this is the growth rate that our pups have in almost in their first year. So very different animals, and been amazing just learning a little bit about them. So I'm going to, so at the moment we are doing actually slightly less rescues. We're a little bit worried right now. Remember last year we had this big pup die-off, and we had tens of thousands of pups dying along the Namibian coastline, being born prematurely. This was due to climate change. This was weather had kept fish away, and a lot of pups had died on the beaches. So a lot of those mothers fell pregnant a lot earlier than they should have again. So we are finding newborn pups on the beach at the moment. They're being born full term, so they're born fully alive, but there's a very little chance of these animals to make it. Animals are normally all born within about 2 weeks of each other from mid-November. And the problem is, though, they do this so they've got this safety in numbers. They will form these big crash groups. A couple of mothers will look after the babies while their mothers will take turns to go out and feed and come back. And what happens now when you have these isolated babies, they'll be born, they'll nurse for a bit, but the mothers will at some point have to swim off and feed, and these pups will be vulnerable to jackals and seagulls. So we're not interfering on that side. We're not trying to save these pups. This is a natural process happening, unfortunately. But with these new pups on the beach, we just don't want to cause unnecessary extra stress to the mother seals and the other seals. So we are very selectively choosing where and when we can rescue. And this does mean that we'll be doing less rescue days up until this situation has sort of stabilized itself a bit. So enough from my side. I would just like to call up Denzel. You guys see him all the time in the videos, but I'm sure none of you have ever heard him talk. Not a big talker, so just he's just going to run through some of our equipment with us. Sit down. See yourself. Say good evening.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Denzel. I know you guys don't hear me talk very often, so it is quite strange to be doing this. But I was asked to join tonight to just run through some of our tools that we do use on a day-to-day basis.
So start with the most common.
Yes, the Leatherman Raptor. It's probably the most efficient scissor that we've been using for a very long time now.
So the Raptor, tell us, what does this thing do actually? What makes it special?
It's very strong, so it cuts through a lot of the entanglements that we get, like the snook line. I don't know if some of you guys have seen the video where we cut through a shark fishing trace.
Wire.
It's very strong, and then it has this special hook at the back, which is very convenient when we have these very thin lines that we need to hook out when the wound's very deep.
Top of that, now we've recently started using these.
What does it mean?
This is a crochet hook.
Yes, it was pointed out that it's not a knitting hook, it's a crochet hook.
Exactly.
Which is also very useful at times.
What we do is we will, sometimes we have a very thin line, very deep into the wound. This can go in there without, it's just a bit smaller and finer than this. So it can go in there, pull the thin line out, and we can then cut it with a scissor without causing unnecessary extra stress. For own protection.
Yes, we do use these mechanic gloves. They are very good. It helps us so that for protecting our hands from bites from the seals, and also a lot of these wounds are very infected. It just helps us a lot not to get all that dirt and seal on our hands.
The infection, it's a big thing for us. Seals often have a lot of infection on them. It protects us, and also we don't know what bacteria and things we're carrying. We don't want to transfer that to the seal, so it's really important for us to be wearing gloves at all times too. Our rescue box is really diverse, something which we carry with us all the time, but don't often use, but it's very important to have, is our trusty
bolt cutters. It's very handy when we have very thick hooks, like the one from a few days ago, where Tony had to remove a hook from the nose of one of the
if you guys watched the video from last night, you'd have seen us using the bolt cutter. Really, really hectic entanglement where the hook went in through the nose, through the bridge of the nose, out through the front. And obviously with the force, this hook had bent inside. So it was not an easy task to remove this. And just before Denzel goes, I just want to show, on the last live, we've only recently started using our baby nets. What do we do with them?
These are much lighter, easier to run with. And with all the puppies now at the moment, it just makes it easier for us to get multiple catches in one go if they are there.
Yeah, so we'll run in. We'll have each of us will normally have a big hook, a big net, small net, or we've got an assortment of nets. So sometimes we'll get up to 5, 6, 7 seals in one run. This way we can grab a seal, put it in the bag, get the next one, and move through them all. And our big net, we've got 4 big nets set up now. Basically, everyone on the team can have one. What makes
these they have zippers on both sides, which makes it possible to get to those really bad entanglements, especially when we have these really big bulls and they zip from both sides. So sometimes you can leave the head in, which is the sharp side, and get to work on the entanglement itself without putting ourselves in any danger.
Exactly. Cool. Denzel, thank you. If we have other questions later that are in Denzel's field of expertise, I will bring him in again. So I just want Tony's going to run us through just how we choose our rescue strategy, which can be quite a diverse thing, and a little bit, and just touch briefly on our data collection processes.
Hello. Okay, so basically what you see when when you watch a video is we start running and we capture the seal and everything. But there is quite some work happening. So as Nadia mentioned, we are going to use binoculars and even spotting scopes. There we go. And we're going to spend quite some time actually scanning the different groups on the beaches to look for entangled animals. Basically, when we find one, we're going to determine a strategy. And then when the strategy and the equipment are ready, we're actually going to switch on the camera. So that's what you see afterwards. So the strategy we like to use the most is basically crawling towards the group of seals, either on the knees or sometimes on the belly to get as close as possible. We're trying to use the sun and the wind to our advantage when we can. So coming facing the wind or with the sun on our back, so the seals cannot see us or cannot smell us, so we can get as close as possible. And then when we are close enough, or the seals actually start to see us and start running, we're going to try to capture the animals. So that's the one we prefer because it allows us to, it gives us a much better rate of success in the capture. And it allows us to disturb the least the group of seals, which is basically our goal, obviously. Sometimes when it's foggy, like Nadia said, we're going to just walk in the group if we have a target and it's very foggy. We know the animals cannot see very well when there's not enough light. We're just going to walk as close as possible from the beach, from the water, and then just start running when they actually see us, which is a lot later in foggy days. And sometimes we are driving alongside a group and we see one seal entangled and starting running, and we're going to be like actually jumping from the car and try to sprint as fast as we can. So there's not so much strategy in that. We sometimes use, you saw it on the videos, what we call the drive-in. So it's like using the car to bring the rescuers as fast as possible, as close as possible to the group. So this technique, we don't use it very often because it's quite invasive. But sometimes it is required if the group is really close to the water or the seal is already on the move. We need some speed, and we use this technique when it's a very bad entanglement, and we know that if we don't secure the seal in the net as fast as we can, we actually can have a dead animal on the beach the days or the week after. So yeah, that's the techniques we use for that. Did I forget one?
No, those are the main ones.
Okay. And then, so after each interaction with an entangled seal, so either a rescue or just a sighting, sometimes we're actually going to decide if we see a seal to not go, because like they mentioned, there is a newborn nearby, or because the seal is actually too deep inside the group, and we do not have any chance to catch him before he reaches the water. We're going to just record the data of the sighting, hoping that we can find the seal the day after or the week after, and remove the entanglements. But after each sighting or after each rescue, we're going to try to collect as much information as we can, so we can give this data to scientists. And actually, last week there was a paper written about the seal entanglements in Namibia from Steph.
If you go onto our website, you'll see there's a paper that's just been released in conjunction with Steph Curtis and the Namibian Dolphin Project, Dr. Tess Cridley and Simon Alwyn, about specifically about the entanglement or plastic pollution issues and how it affects animals in Namibia. So if you do get a chance, if you want to have a look at that through our website, it's a really interesting read.
Just looking here because the cat is getting crazy on the net. It's okay. Linda is asking how many points do we collect. So for the data, we're going to record the date, the time, the location, the colony, the GPS coordinates, so we can put it on the map as well. And then for the animal, we're going to have the sex, the age, And then for the entanglement, it's going to be the category. So there's 4 categories: if it's fishing, industrial, domestic, and sometimes natural.
We always ask like what are natural entanglements, but we do get occasional.
Yeah. We had seal fur the other day.
We've had seals stuck in old seal intestines. We've had seals stuck in, and those the shark spikes that we had last year, a whole bunch of, that is counted as a natural entanglement.
Yeah. And then the item itself, like a net or a fishing line or sometimes piece of clothing, the severity of this entanglement. So it goes from no damage to slight, severe, very severe, and sometimes, unfortunately, deceased animal. So we recorded 2 dead seals entangled this year so far, fortunately. One was in a piece of glove, and the other one was caught in a big bundle of fishing line. And
that was the one where we had 2 stuck together.
Yeah, exactly.
One had died, but one luckily had made it. But yeah.
Yeah, so obviously it's not something we like to report in a database, but sometimes it happens and it shows how important our work is. So yeah, and then it's obviously the rescue number is 462 for the year, like Nadia mentioned. And for us, if we code it with the net or by hands, just for us to know how important these we use are. Sometimes we also use hooks and stuff like this. So yeah. So this data is compiled in database. We just give it for free for scientists to understand the situation and how big the situation here in Namibia. And we put out a few statistics for the media, for us, for the scientists, just to enlighten a bit on this situation, because it's very unique what is happening here that we think. But then if we correlate to what happens in the US or in Russia or whatever, we actually can have a better understanding of what's the scale of this problem actually worldwide.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Danny.
All right.
Katja's going to just join us for a moment as well and talk about our funding. She is much better at this side of things than I am.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I've just been scanning a little bit through the comments. So just, I know it's very confusing, but we've got a Kat and a Katja on the team. So Kat is Wally's wife, and I'm Nadia's wife.
Katja. And Katrin.
Yeah, so it's very similar names, and we are both blonde and look a little bit similar, but yeah, we're different people. So I'm Nadia's wife. I'm one of the 2 co-founders of Ocean Conservation Namibia. I am dealing almost exclusively with the financial side. So before I explain what we're doing with the money, where our money is coming from, where it's going, I just want to say a massive, huge thank you for everybody who's been supporting us through donations, merchandise, watching the videos, sharing the videos. We would not be able to do any of the work if it wasn't for your help. We are entirely funded by private donations. Namibia's government cannot help us. It's a 3rd world country. There are a lot of issues that Namibia has, and the seals are really not a priority. They're not endangered in any way. So we can't even fault them. In fact, we actually have a really good working relationship with the government. We're very grateful that they're not in our way. But we cannot expect them to fund our efforts. So just to give you a little bit of a rundown what our main expenses actually are. The biggest expense that we have is salaries and medical aid, which is very important because of the nature of our work. Salaries are the biggest factor, and we are obviously aware we would be able to work with volunteers. But we've actually made, altogether, we've made the decision that we don't want to work with volunteers. It takes a lot of time to get somebody ready to do seal rescues, and we don't want to sit in a situation that it takes up all our time, and then as the potential new rescuer is ready, the person is leaving again. And also with volunteers, you never know what you're getting. We need to rely on the team. We need to have very fit people. We need to have team players. We can't have reckless people out there who are endangering our rescuers. It's especially because we've also got so much reach on social media. We cannot have somebody who's just after the fame side of this. So that's basically why we've made the decision. For us, we are in charge of everybody here. Essentially we are in charge of the rescue team, and for us to send the team out there not knowing if they will come back safe, that's an absolute no-go. And that's why we've decided to stick to a full-time rescue team, and luckily we're able to do that, and that's all because you guys make it happen. So yeah, salaries is by far the biggest expense. After that, we are dealing with the vehicle. The vehicle itself was donated to us last year. That was a massive bonus for us that has put us actually in this position that we can go out every day. So we just have to obviously cover fuel and the maintenance of the vehicle. It is a 4x4. We are dealing in deep sand and very harsh weather conditions. There's a lot of salt there, so the car costs a lot of money. Luckily, it's a Land Cruiser. It's a fairly new, so it's manageable. And then the third aspect is the nets and the PPE. The nets, one net, we get that question a lot. What does a net cost? A net is roughly about $2,500 US. The nets are custom built. They're manufactured in the United States. The hoop is also manufactured there. It comes from different places, and by the time we get it to Namibia with customs and transport and then the fittings, the local fittings we have to add, we're coming to roughly that amount. We've got a few spare nets here at the moment, which is fantastic. We always try and order a few at a time, and when we get to a point that we need to move on to a newer net, we do try to hand our old nets over to another organization who deals with similar things. That's how it started for us. Our very first net was also donated to us, which obviously was an absolute legend and saved a lot of lives. Then we've got a couple of expenses for binoculars, and we just got new laser pointers and all those things. A lot of things are donated to us. Leatherman has been absolutely fantastic. All our rescue equipment, all our raptors have been donated to us, and we actually just found out that we've got another parcel on its way to us. So there's a lot of stuff that we get, but some things we need to obviously buy, and we're using the funds for that as well. We don't spend money on things that are non-essential. We don't have a fancy office. As you can see, we're sitting in my house right now. Our office is right here. We work from here. That's why you see cats and maybe some dogs running around. So we don't spend money where we don't have to. Setting up everything was not easy. We are a charitable trust. We are fully set up. It took us almost a year to get that done here in Namibia, but we are dealing with a lot of third world troubles. Just to give you an idea, you normally see that below the videos. All our merchandise that is available for sale that supports us. We don't have access to that here in Namibia. It doesn't even show on my YouTube channel because the company doesn't ship here and doesn't deal with us because our postal system is so poor. So when we set it up initially, we had to ask friends overseas, can you send us a screenshot? We don't know what we're actually doing here. The same is with PayPal. Namibia doesn't have PayPal. So luckily, I'm German, so we can funnel it all through Germany, but those are very real issues that we're dealing with every single day. The bottom line, though, is that your donations are reaching us. Your donations make all of this happen because you are so generous. We are able to have a full-time team, and we were able to rescue seals every single week, as many as we can find, and that's that makes it really worthwhile, and that's why we don't mind jumping through hoops to make it happen. We are very, very grateful. So thank you for that. The one thing that comes up a lot, why aren't we registered as a 501c? For everybody who's not from the United States, this is the charitable status in the United States. You need to have that stage is to be eligible for the Amazon Smiles program, to get donations from companies in the United States. And I understand that there are a lot of people who are willing to fund us, and we're really grateful for that. But also we are a small team. It took us a long time to get to the point where we are right now. And we're activists, we want to be out there and do things. We don't want to actually end up just sitting behind the computers trying to sort that out. We already have to write too many proposals and reports and so on. So at this stage, it is not in the pipeline. I'm not ruling it out for the future, but just give us some time. Right now, you can trust us. Whatever you're giving us, we're putting it to good use. We do believe we've got the proof actually right out there. And if you've got any questions, feel free to reach out, and we will answer all your questions. You might have to wait for a couple of days, but nothing actually gets lost here. So yeah, that's great. And another example you see on the chat here, we actually set up the super chat, which in Namibia we don't have those things. We had to move our channel to be a German channel just to make this available. But I can see that there have been a lot of donations coming in, and I just want to say thank you. And I promise you right here, we all promise you right here, we're using it to help animals in need. So thank you so much for all of this. Is that all?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, we've been asking for the last few days already to collect a couple of. We've been collecting questions for the last few days already. So we will do a little bit of both. We're going to ask a couple of questions from the live chat now, and we will also bring up a couple of questions from the last few days, and then we will just answer that. The first question that Tony's just given me is, how many times have you been bitten? And I saw earlier who's been bitten the most.
I haven't been bitten for a while, which is actually quite good. Since I got my stitches, I'm going to show that, but I got a bad bite in August last year.
Can you see it?
And ended up in the hospital. Had a few stitches from that one. I've actually been, it's over a year now. I haven't been bitten again since, which is quite surprising because it happened quite often before that. But lately, Wally and Tony have had a few run-ins with seals. Tony would have to take his pants off to show you his bite, which I don't think he's gonna. Don't worry, it's on his knee. But I don't think he's.
There's a lot of giggling going on here.
I don't think he's keen on doing that. And Denzel's just too fast. He's one of the guys who's always getting bitten. He's just is lucky he doesn't get bitten at all. But Wally and Denzel and Wally have entered the bite club. But it happens very seldomly, and it's never an act of aggression from the seals. It's just it's normally a quick lapse of judgment from a rescuer, or taking. Basically just taking attention off the job at hand for a split second and then paying the price.
I'm just moving the question down there.
Okay, so we're going to move a few questions into the frame. We can see which question I'm answering. How often do we see recaptures? Daily. We are seeing recaptures all the time. It's amazing. Every recapture we see, we know is a success story. We know that normally those seals that had entanglements would not have just lost them on their own. So each recapture is a testament to the work we've been doing, and we will see sometimes 15, 20 recaptured animals a day out at Pelican Point. So it's great. Recaptures are always good to do. Why do I carry my camera in my mouth? It's a question that comes up a lot, and I know the heavy breathing in that, but for me to be able to tell our story best, I could have it on my head, but the problem is when I'm chasing the seal, you're going to give a nice view of it. When I'm working down, you're not going to see what my hands are doing. You're going to be looking away. Also, when it's in my mouth, it's seeing exactly what I'm seeing, and I can take it out and talk, which I'm trying to do. I'm using a different mouthpiece now, which is not as sort of loud, but it's a personal choice. I find it the most versatile option for me. Wanted to dive to check out the ocean floor at Pelican Point. It's something this year has just run away with us. We had planned it once or twice, and the weather just did not play along. And we will, so the question comes from Linda, who is honestly one of our all-time biggest commenters, supporters anyway. Thanks, Linda. But yeah, so we are not dived yet. We've done some free diving, some snorkeling around Pelican Point, which has been great, but obviously just don't spend enough time on the bottom to see the extent. This summer, though, we will definitely be getting out there. We are getting so many, a lot of people already are very keen to volunteer, so we will definitely be spending some time underwater at the point this year.
How important is fitness? I just lost the comment. There it is.
It's another question that comes up quite often. How important is fitness? Fitness is, obviously, you see the work we're doing. I calculated last year that we had sprinted approximately 60 kilometers through the course of last year. That's sprinting, so that's full out, and 60 kilometers. So that's about 40 miles, I think, maybe a bit more. So no, fitness is absolutely important. This morning, I ran 25 kilometers. Katja ran 28. We're busy training for a marathon in Cape Town later in the year. So, and for the whole team, fitness is, we can't do this if we're not fit. We need to be able to, if we're going to rescue 20, 30 animals in one day, it's a different story if you're just doing one or two, but to be able to keep up with the animals, keep that up, it's really, really important to be able to be strong and fit. Would some technology help you, such as smart drones or robots? We sat debating this the other day. We were considering sending in what is our discussion? Sending in robots, and then the sort of discussion led to them turning on us. No, drones as well. We do use drones from time to time. We're using drones more for surveys, but the seals are so dense, and to actually scrutinize the group for entanglements particularly, you need to get so low down and move really slowly in a grid back and forth. And by the time you get that low, the animals actually get quite stressed out. The drones make quite a high-pitched sound, and it does stress them out. So we will use it sometimes to just keep tabs on an entangled seal. We do have a drone in the car every day, but we're not using it that much for monitoring. Although, that being said, there's such amazing drone technology coming out at the moment. I do believe it's not far away from the point where we can have programs or apps that can scan an image for us and pick up entanglements that we really hope for. Are you likely to be able to use local anesthetic or any of the seal wounds, spray or injection? This is a topic we've discussed with vets, wildlife vets, many times over. Firstly, none of us are qualified vets. Something like this needs to be administered by a vet. And the sprays or injections, again, the cleaning sprays, you can't just spray over an infected wound. You've seen these wounds are very infected. It's going to do nothing to just spray over it. You'd have to spend a lot of time completely debriding the wound. And if this animal is not properly sedated, it'll lead to overheating and stress. So there are a lot of issues that can come in with that. We've seen the most incredibly bad injuries. We've re-seen those animals 10 days, 2 weeks later, with showing amazing healing. The salt people don't always realize how amazing the salt water is when it comes to cleaning up these wounds and helping the animals. So no, we do not do any of that. We will probably at some point bring in some guest vets to do some secondary care on the animals, but for now we are just letting the ocean do the work. How do seals get entangled? Very valid question. The seals get entangled by being playful. They are just very, very playful animals. Generally, if seals get stuck in nets, those nets are underwater. During fishing operations, those seals will probably drown. So they are getting stuck in bits of net that have been discarded, nets that have fallen overboard or been thrown overboard. Fishing lines have been thrown overboard. These animals are playful, they're inquisitive. They will come up to something in the water, swim through it, play with it, especially if it's got a natural loop. They will swim through it. And because the way their fur is oriented, it's all going down, these things get stuck. These animals grow very, very quickly, especially the pups at the age they are now. They're growing at an exponential rate. And as these things get stuck, they grow, these entanglements, especially thinner things like fishing lines and sharp-edged things like backing straps will start to cut into their skin, and they will, and that's how they get damaged, and that's how they get entangled. What is your favorite rescue? I'm going to bring in Tony and Denzel for that one too, as well as Katja. She's got her favorite rescue. For me, I would say we had a seal called Hulk about 2 months ago. So the cameraman that you saw in a lot of our videos, Alan, was here, and we were at Cape Cross, and we had this big seal on the rocks, very, very big bundle of green fishing line, bright green fishing line. It was a very strategic rescue. We actually had to go around this little rocky outcrop in the water, basically just wait in the water, in the waves, waiting for the seal to come down while having hundreds of big seals chasing through us. It was a very intense rescue. That rescue will be aired on the documentary that Alan was working on, Cutting the Line, which will be coming out early next year if all goes according to plan. But we will be talking about that some more later. But it's something we're really excited about, and I can't wait for you guys to see that footage. It was such an intense rescue. For Katja?
My favorite rescue was the seal that was stuck in a soccer net. That was an amazing day. It was sort of fairly at the beginning of lockdown, so we all needed actually some good news. And I remember that so well. We were driving out there, and we saw this big bundle of net around a seal, and we actually drove past, and we were talking about, the seal must be dead, and it was absolutely tragic. And then just in the rearview mirror, we actually saw this bundle moving, and it all happened super fast. We stopped the car, and everybody raced out. We almost forgot to switch on the cameras, which is obviously not the main focus, but I'm really glad we have footage of this particular rescue. And then everybody raced back, and then it took, what was it, 10 minutes to cut through all those trains. It was absolutely insane. And then we didn't think that the seal was actually going to make it. And then as soon as the seal was actually free, we could see him run back to the ocean and jump into the waves a couple of times, like trying to get the itch off its back. It was amazing. I think we all felt what the seal was going through. So that was hands down my favorite rescue. So they're sitting here. They're being very, very shy. They don't want to talk. Tony is coming, and we're going to force Denzel to say something too.
Favorite rescue, I think it's the one I didn't do is Julius. We tried 3 times, and we actually could not catch him because he was either too fast or too deep into the group. And actually had to leave to go back on the ship, and maybe 2 weeks after or something.
Yeah,
you found him again, and I was on the phone because Nadia texted me saying, "Oh, we saw him again. We saw Julius." So yeah, I was with them in spirit though. But yeah, I'm glad they caught him. Yeah.
Denzel,
he is coming.
I think my favorite rescue would be Brutus, because he was such a big male.
Yeah,
and
he was big.
You could really see that he was of high quality breeding male, and that was terrifying at the moment, but it ended well, even though we almost had to cut the net. But that would probably be my favorite rescue.
that was a good one. That was we did have to cut the net quite a bit on that one, but it was all worthwhile for the seal at the end of the day. Is there possibility to sue those fishing lines who sell super thin nets? We have to understand as well that there are a lot of responsible fisheries out there too. And to trace back the owners, these nets are all legally bought, legally manufactured, legally bought. So no, there's unfortunately no way to sue anyone like that. The idea would be to sue someone caught dumping or disposing of something like that wrongly, or having or what the first prize would be that all these lines have some sort of identification in them, embedded in them, chips or something. Maybe that can come in the future. That would be amazing. That you could definitely hold somebody accountable for that. But no, unfortunately, there's no way to sue anybody for producing those lines. For dumping them, yes, but not just for making them or selling them. How long does it take for the seals to come back ashore after they went into the water during a rescues? So you'll see the seals normally run into the water. It's strange. Sometimes if it's all the seals, especially on warm, sunny days, will go into the water. If you go there at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, there are no seals on the beach. They're all in the water anyway. So often those seals, when we've chased them in, will just stay in the water and hang out there. If it's cold, they'll come out sooner. But generally, once we've moved out, 5 minutes later, the first seals were coming back to the beach. And normally within about half an hour to an hour max, all those seals would have resettled themselves back on the beach in the same spot again.
Tagging. Let's put tagging on. Tagging. We can talk about tagging. I don't have a comment on this now, but it's something that we are regularly asked. Why don't we tag the animals? It's a complicated issue. We need very special permits for that. So the tagging is something that's still very much in the pipeline.
Again, with tagging, we do actually have a research permit out and permission to do some tagging. We are just waiting now for the rights for the scientists. Some are still stuck in lockdown countries, but there is a project at the end of the year where we will be doing some tagging. We're going to be fitting some satellite tags onto seals as part of an acoustic project to see what sort of sounds these seals are making underwater. And these tags will also have little cameras, so it'll show what's happening underwater, and microphones to pick up the sounds. So that'll be very cool. But for us, the tagging, we would love to be able to tag seals to monitor healing. The alternative for now that we are looking into is actual marking of seals. So bringing in dyes. A lot of people have recommended using sheep dyes. The big issue with that is sheep wool is normally light in color. These seals, especially when wet, are very, very dark. It's going to be very difficult to pick up those colors, even the bright colors. So we would probably need something more peroxide-based, like hair dye, and mark them in this way, just to be able to see them again and monitor their healing through this way as an alternative to tagging. Anything else?
No, it's the next question.
The whale rescue. That was really, really intense. We just come back from a morning of heavy rescues. We've done a lot of rescue that morning. We got home, we were all tired, and we got the phone call. Somebody called from a sat phone from Sandwich Harbour, about 50 kilometers south of here, and we had to go. And we just basically rushed straight out there. We got the Namibian Dolphin Project to join us, Jack and his team, and we raced out there. We just heard it was a young animal, so we could probably be pushed in by hand. We got there, it was a young animal, but this young animal probably weighed between 12 and 15 tons. And it was we first got there, we had a bit of movement, we could turn him a little, but the waves were quite strong, and he kept on moving back the beach. It was 4 hours, 4 really intense hours. We were really broken after that. Eventually, as the tide came in, with a lot of manipulation, we managed to turn him into the oncoming waves, and then big set of waves came through, managed to lift him up, and he could swim himself free. There were once or twice really worried because he was actually stuck upside down, which meant his blowhole was covered, he couldn't breathe. We were really worried he wouldn't make it. I have attended 10 of these big whale strandings before. It's the first time we've actually had a successful ending, so it was amazing. It was a really, really satisfying and good day. Will you rescue a seal if it's currently pregnant? It's almost safe to say that any adult female seal that we are rescuing at the moment is pregnant. all seals, they work in these cycles. They will all give birth in November, December, and at the same time, they will fall pregnant within a week. After that, the new fetus stays dormant for 3 to 4 months and develops for another 8 months. So it's a 1-year cycle. So almost every seal from 3 or 4 years old is pregnant, essentially for the rest of her life. So those seals are all pregnant. They are very tough, resilient animals. The running around, the catching will not affect their babies, not in any way we've seen before. And by doing this, you are saving the mother. Leaving that seal most times will definitely lead to death. Whereas, so basically, we are rescuing pregnant females. Yes, it's not always visible to see. They're big, but they are. Can you carry sedatives? We are not vets. Again, we are not legally allowed to carry any sort of sedatives. Sedatives are not just a matter of injecting, and there's quite specific sedatives and formulas used based on weight and size of these animals and species. So no, when we do get vets to join us, they will be carrying sedatives, but we are not carrying them ourselves, no. Linda is asking when we will see Kerstin's paper. Kerstin, shame she had a major setback. Her laptop got stolen. Most of her paper is done, but a lot of the data is lost, so she has to start a lot of that from scratch again. But for those who don't know, Kerstin was a Namibian student doing an internship with us earlier in the year, and she was writing a paper as well on a comparative paper on last year and this year's entanglements with data that we've collected for her. What are the natural enemies? Do you see them being hunted by predators? So in Namibia, we do not have a real presence of great whites or orcas, which would be their main natural ocean-based prey. The predators have been more land-based traditionally. Before human intrusion, there were a lot more jackals, hyenas, even lions and leopards on the beaches catching seals. Without this there's not really much natural predation at all. You have jackals and seagulls catching newborn pups, but only while they're very small. Otherwise, no, the seals do not have many natural predators at all.
That's an interesting question. What is your 5-year growth plan for your organization? We honestly have no idea. We don't know. Right now, we just want to continue with the way things are. We want to catch as many seals as possible. Hopefully, Tony is just saying, hopefully we're running out of seals. It doesn't look like it at the moment. If we run out of seals, we'll rescue something else. There are enough animals in need. We do, however, have something fairly exciting lined up. Denzel, he's very scared of making him talk again. Because then Denzel will actually be in charge of this project. At the moment, what we're doing is we're dealing with the symptoms of plastic pollution. We bring a lot of attention to the issue, which is great. So a lot more people are aware of what's actually going on there. But the next step forward would obviously be avoiding this kind of plastic in the first place. And in our case, it's fairly easy to say that most of the culprits are linked to the fishing industry. So we are going into recycling. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with the Precious Plastics project. If you don't know about it, just Google it, Precious Plastics. It's a Dutch NGO. They have developed a whole bunch of different machines to start little recycling projects. And that's what we have in mind at the moment. So we've ordered machines from South Africa. So in an ideal setting, we will go to the fishing factories. We will take all the old fishing line, all the old fishing nets. We will shred it, we will melt it, and we will turn it into new items. It could be jungle gyms for the schools or tables and chairs for the schools. I mean, a lot of schools here are very, very underfunded, and they really need anything they can get. We've done our own first little prototype with a clipboard. So that's what we want to do. So ideally, we would take all that plastic back from the factories and from the fishing vessels before it can even get into the ocean, and we will make sure it goes back straight to the community, which will be a great incentive for the fishermen to rather bring it home, because a lot of the plastic that we find on seals comes from negligence. It's just easier to chuck it overboard than to bring it home. But if you have a reason to bring it home, it might motivate people to actually do that. So the next step at the moment is prevention. I know a lot of people would like us to start a seal rehab station. At this stage, we're not planning to do that, simply because right now we don't feel that it's really needed. Most of our entanglements do recover really nicely the way it is, and collecting those animals, putting them in a rehab facility would be very stressful, would be very expensive, and it will take up a lot of our resources when our resources are probably used better the way they are at the moment. So
yeah, the fishing lines are incredibly recyclable. They're made out of polypropylene plastic, the fishing nets, and at the moment most of those things are ending up in landfill. So if those can be repurposed, it'll be great news. So we are really excited about where this is going. Have you seen the puffy face seal? We did. We've actually seen him twice subsequently. We saw him about a week later, where his face was a lot less puffy, and then Wally said he saw him about a week after that again, where you could clearly see it was the same seal, just had a line, but his face had gone, swelling had gone down completely. So it was really glad he could barely breathe anymore. He could definitely not eat. So I'm very glad that he had recovered so well.
So yeah, we are an hour in. I think. Okay, Tony is sending us another question, so we'll see what's coming there. Just while we wait for that, I just quickly want to say Wally and Kat can't be with us here tonight. Unfortunately, they just have a previous commitment, but they will be joining us next time. So they will be here next time. They promised.
Wally,
oh, okay. No, it's not coming up there.
I did it.
I didn't see that. Sorry, I was talking.
So yeah, basically, yeah.
Okay, that's a nice last question.
Can we talk about the documentary? Yeah, it's been, as I mentioned earlier, Ellen and Will from Now Media have been spending a lot of time with us. We had some incredible rescues with them. We had a lot of interview sessions. We've been engaging local fishermen, engaging plastic pollution in general. It's going to be a really interesting to see where this goes. Everything is in motion. There will still be more filming, but the end product will be hopefully just spreading the global message on the impacts of plastic, and very much the personal journey as well that Katja and I have taken in how we've gotten to here and where this could possibly going, and the impacts of plastic on marine life around the world. For now, the documentary is scheduled to air in early next year.
We don't know yet where it's going to be visible, but we will keep you updated. The aim of the documentary is to be shown to as many people as possible. So we will choose whatever channel we can get to expose it to the world. Okay, this is going to be the very last question now. How can I help? We get a lot of people that would like to come and volunteer, which at this stage is unfortunately not possible. But everybody, you can make a difference right where you are. From our side, use our videos, watch them, share them, create awareness for plastic pollution, talk about it, show your friends, tell them what is going on, ask them to do the same thing. The more people we reach, the better the chances that we reach somebody who will actually be able in a position to do something. On a local scale, we've just been on a family holiday to Germany, which is without a doubt a fairly regulated and organized and clean country. And even there, we saw face masks lying around everywhere. There was rubbish everywhere. So pick it up. Just do something. It's really everywhere. Pick up rubbish so it can't become an entanglement. It can't be turned into microplastic right there, and it also can't be an invitation for somebody else to come along and put more rubbish there. Support local organizations. There are organizations everywhere, organizations that deal with nature, with the environment, or with animals. check out your local shelter, ask them how they need help, and that's basically how everybody can make a difference right there. You know, good people are needed everywhere.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for checking in. We will be doing this again as soon as we have enough to talk to you guys about. We are really sorry if we missed any of your questions. We understand an hour is short and we need to, we have a lot to cover. Please, we've always said this, our email address is very visible. If there's anything specific you want to know, please just send us a direct mail. Also, often on the YouTube comments on the videos, the bigger videos, we do not get to every single comment. There's an answer, a question that we haven't answered. We apologize for this. If it's important to you, please just send us a mail and we will get back to you on that, we promise.
Okay.
Thank you very much for tuning in, and from all of us, wishing you a great night. Well, it's almost bedtime for us. Well, it's dinner time, but have a great Sunday to everyone else on the western part of the world. And thanks very much again.
Thank you.